bright sunlight streamed into the spacious kitchen. As the sweet aroma of French toast wafted through the air, Amy moved efficiently preparing breakfast. Known as a talented cook among mothers, she was warming up her special maple syrup while preparing a healthy breakfast with her family's well-being in mind. At the kitchen island counter, Lily was rushing to finish her math homework. "Lily, are you done with your homework?" Amy called out, to which her daughter replied, "Almost," while scribbling with her pencil. Though Lily was a conscientious child, she had gotten too caught up in piano practice with her father last night and put off her homework. Footsteps were heard coming down the stairs, and James appeared in his suit carrying a laptop. Known as one of Austin's top investment advisors, he wore suits even on holidays. "Good morning, my angels," James greeted his family with a gentle smile. Lily looked up, her face brightening instantly. "Dad, you're coming to my recital next week, right? My teacher gave me a solo piece." "Of course. I've already arranged my work schedule," James answered while gently stroking his daughter's hair. Amy watched this father-daughter scene with a warm smile. The table was set with Amy's lovingly prepared breakfast, French toast, fresh fruit, and homemade granola. Their daily breakfast time was an important opportunity for family communication. "Hey Dad, I practiced that piano part you taught me yesterday," Lily said proudly. "I'm going to work hard to play perfectly at the next recital." "That's wonderful," James smiled gently, though his eyes seemed slightly evasive. After breakfast, Amy headed to her real estate office. Her desk was neatly arranged with photos of carefully selected luxury properties. She had earned a reputation as an honest and capable agent in Austin's real estate market. This area has excellent schools and stable security. It's particularly ideal for children's education, Amy was enthusiastically explaining a property to a couple. "Thanks to Mrs. Brown, we might find our ideal property," the clients nodded with satisfaction. Her attentive service and precise advice always earned high trust from clients. In the afternoon, Amy was participating in food sorting at First Baptist Church. This weekly volunteer activity was an important opportunity for her social contribution. She was known as a trusted figure in the church community as well. "Mrs. Brown, your husband is blessed to have a wife like you. It's wonderful how you treasure everything, work, family, and faith," a woman from the church remarked. Amy smiled and replied, "Thank you. I'm blessed too." Indeed, her life seemed blessed. However, this peace wouldn't last long. 3 days later, an unexpected event occurred. At the Domain Northside Food Court, Lily, who had just finished her ballet lesson, suddenly stopped. "Huh? Dad?" In one corner of the food court, James was talking intimately with an unknown woman. The sophisticated-looking woman was listening intently to James's words with a serious expression. James's expression was slightly different from when he was with family. He wore a more relaxed, natural smile. That night, Amy asked her husband, "James, Lily said she saw you at the mall today." She posed the question that had been bothering her in as natural a tone as possible. "Oh, that was a meeting with a new client. Don't worry about it," James answered casually without taking his eyes off his computer. However, there was a slight tension in his voice. Amy wanted to believe her husband's words. But her sharp intuition told her something was wrong. Saturday morning, the Austin sky was crystal clear. The sound of neighborhood children playing in their yards could be heard in the mild weather. In the Brown family kitchen, Amy was preparing breakfast as usual. "Lily, what are you planning to do today?" Amy called out to her daughter, but Lily shook her head, concentrating on her weekend homework. "I'm planning to practice ballet." As she smiled at her daughter's serious demeanor, James came running down the stairs. Though he usually wore suits even on weekends, this morning he was unusually dressed casually. "Lily, want to go to the amusement park with Dad?" Lily's eyes lit up at the sudden suggestion. "Really?" James was unusually restless, checking his mobile phone repeatedly. "Amy, could you organize the work documents? We need to get the tax documents in order soon too." "Yes, all right," Amy replied, but felt something off about her husband's behavior. Over the past few weeks, her husband's behavior had been gradually changing. Late-night phone calls, increased weekend work, and most notably, decreased time with family had been concerning her. "I'll make lunch boxes." "Just wait a bit." Amy stood in the kitchen and began efficiently preparing sandwiches. "It's fine, we'll eat something on the way," James said hurriedly, taking Lily's hand. "Come on, let's go." "But, the lunch boxes." Lily looked anxiously at her mother. "It's okay. Dad will buy you something delicious." As Amy watched the father and daughter head toward the entrance, anxiety spread in her chest. When her husband grabbed the car keys, his hands seemed to tremble slightly. "Be careful," Amy called out, and Lily waved back enthusiastically. However, James only nodded slightly before hurriedly getting into the car. As she listened to the car leaving the garage, Amy began organizing the study. Unfamiliar documents were scattered on her husband's desk. An envelope with the Houston First National Bank logo. Not an Austin bank. Amy frowned. Around noon, Amy's mobile phone rang. It was a call from an unknown number. "Mrs. Brown. This is the emergency department at St. David's Medical Center." At that moment, Amy's world stopped. "Your family has been in an accident. Could you please come to the hospital immediately?" Upon arriving at the hospital, a police officer was waiting. In an interview room surrounded by white walls, Amy was told the details of the accident. Her husband's car had crashed into a curb under the Burnett Road overpass. Lily, who had been wearing a seatbelt in the back seat, escaped with minor injuries. However, James was unconscious and in critical condition. The attending physician began speaking in a heavy tone. "There's something strange about this accident." "What do you mean?" Amy's voice trembled. "There are no brake marks. It's as if it was intentional." The doctor continued, choosing his words carefully. "And according to your daughter, just before the accident, your husband was desperately trying to delete photos from his mobile phone." In Amy's mind, all the previous feelings of unease suddenly connected. The Houston First National Bank envelope. Increasing night calls. The suspicious behavior at the mall. And this morning's sudden suggestion to go to the amusement park. I need to report this to the police. Amy took out her mobile phone with trembling hands. At that moment, a nurse rushed in from the ICU. Doctor. Mr. Brown's condition has suddenly changed. As the doctor rushed to the room, Amy stood frozen in place. In her mind, her husband's last expression from this morning kept replaying like slow motion. That restlessness then. Was it guilt, or Mom? Lily, who had been receiving treatment in another room, came with a nurse. A bandaged small arm. Cheeks covered in scratches. Still, her daughter's eyes held a strong light. Dad was acting strange, Lily began speaking in a small voice. He kept looking at his phone. He kept saying if only this didn't exist. While holding her daughter, Amy made a resolution. She would definitely uncover the truth behind this accident. To protect her family. The hospital corridor was wrapped in silence. Amy waited in front of her daughter's hospital room for the detectives to arrive. In the ICU, James, still unconscious, was connected to life support machines. Mrs. Brown called out Sarah Martin, a detective from the Austin Police Department's Major Case Squad. With graying short hair, she appeared to be in her mid-50s, an experienced detective. May we speak with you? In the white-walled interview room, Amy explained the morning's events in detail. Her husband's behavior, the sudden amusement park suggestion, and even the Houston bank envelope found in the study. Your husband's mobile phone wasn't found, the younger detective partner reported. We searched around the accident scene but it would disappear, Lily said in a small voice. The hospital room door opened, and she entered with her bandages. Dad was desperately trying to delete it. Lily, can you tell us? Detective Sarah called out gently. What happened after you got in the car with your father? Lily sat next to her mother and began speaking in a trembling voice. On the way to the amusement park, Dad's phone rang. Dad was really flustered. He was muttering, "Why now?" Then Lily's words caught for a moment as she gripped her mother's hand tightly. Dad pulled over to the shoulder and started messing with his phone. He kept saying, "I have to delete this." When I asked, "What kind of photo?" Dad's face changed. At that moment, the young detective rushed into the room. We've got the GPS history. The red dot trajectory on the map. James's movement history for the past 3 years. A clear pattern emerged. He's been heading to Houston every 2 weeks, the detective explained. Average stay is 48 hours. Always the same area, Memorial City. The blood drained from Amy's face. Memorial City. Do you know it? No, but Amy took a receipt from her wallet. Something she had found in her husband's suit pocket last week. It had the Memorial City Mall logo printed on it. The investigation progressed rapidly. The existence of a Houston bank account. A rental contract for an apartment in Memorial City. And then, decisive evidence was found. Old church records from First Baptist Church. A marriage record from 15 years ago for James Brown. However, the bride's name wasn't Amy. Carol Wilson. Amy clutched the record with trembling hands. Mrs. Brown, Detective Sarah carefully chose her words. The DNA test results are in. The blood found at the accident scene. Between the driver's seat and what was found in the back seat. The words trailed off. But Amy understood. The DNA types were different. In other words, James and her daughter aren't really father and daughter. Amy's voice trembled. At that moment, an emergency call rang out from the ICU. The sound of doctors and nurses running away. Amy tried to stand, but her legs trembled too much to move. "Mom," Lily gripped her mother's hand tightly. "We have our own truth." The voice of an 8-year-old girl, firm and clear. New reports came to the investigation headquarters. Large amounts of emails were found on James's work computer. Money transfer records to the Memorial City address. And traces of attempts to change insurance beneficiaries. "Amy," Detective Sarah lowered her voice. "There seem to be many important facts you don't know about." Outside the window, the Texas winter sun was setting. It cast long shadows, announcing the beginning of new truths after 15 years of lies. Police officers were stationed in the hospital hallway. The ICU monitor continued to record weak heartbeats. While holding her daughter, Amy made a vow in her heart. No matter how cruel this truth might be, she would protect Lily. That was her determination as a mother, and as a woman. "The investigation has only just begun," Detective Sarah said quietly. "Please prepare yourself for the truths that will come to light." As night fell, the lights of St. David's Medical Center continued to shine quietly in the darkness. In a quiet residential area in suburban Houston. The doorbell of a colonial-style house in Memorial City's upscale neighborhood broke the early morning silence. "Are you Carol Wilson?" Detective Sarah presented her police badge. The woman who appeared at the door was elegantly dressed, and behind her stood a boy in a baseball uniform with a worried expression. "He's the ace pitcher at the school where I serve as PTA president," Carol proudly introduced her son in the interview room. "James always comes to watch his games." At those words, Amy's body trembled. In the next room, monitoring the interview through a screen, Lily whispered beside her. "Sunday's piano recital. Dad always came." The truth of the 15-year double life gradually came to light. James met Carol at First Baptist Church and married her. 2 years later, he met Amy on a business trip to Austin. He maintained 2 families through clever lies. In Austin, a devout Christian investment advisor. In Houston, the proud father of a baseball player. "Here is the security camera footage," the detective presented evidence. The woman Lily saw at the mall that day was Carol's best friend. Through her, Lily's existence was about to be revealed. "That day, I got a call from my friend." Carol's voice trembled. "It seems your husband has another family." The background of the accident became clear. Lily had gotten too close to her father's secret. The photo showed Carol and Michael. A father desperately trying to delete it. And an accident resulting from panic. The insurance beneficiary was changed just before the investigator presented new evidence. The change was to Carol's account. 2 days before the accident. James in his hospital room, delirious. Lily, forgive me. Michael. In his consciousness, the confessions of a man torn between two families continued. We were victims too, Carol whispered with a desperate expression. To think he played the perfect husband for 15 years. In the interrogation room. James regained consciousness and admitted everything. I had my reasons for each, his cry echoed off the gray walls. 2 lives. 2 loves. But both were real. The trial began. The prosecution sought a severe sentence. The defendant's actions constitute attempted murder with premeditation, the prosecutor's voice echoed in the courtroom. To conceal his own crimes, he attempted to take an innocent girl with him. We seek the maximum sentence. Lily on the witness stand. In her small body, she gathered courage to speak. That day, Dad told me this, the girl's clear voice resonated in the courtroom. This was supposed to be the last lie. Amy watched her daughter's back. The weight of truth that would be unbearable even for adults rested on the shoulders of an 8-year-old girl. I waive my right to remain silent, James suddenly offered. I'll tell everything. All the truth from 15 years ago until today. The courtroom held its breath. His confession began. Meeting at church. Pure love. And the first lie. To protect one lie, I piled up 1,000 lies, his voice trembled. Before I knew it, I had lost my way in the labyrinth I created. The testimony lasted 3 days. 2 families. 2 lives. And the choice on that day to end it all. Please let me atone for my sins, the final words. The verdict was delivered. The defendant James Brown is hereby sentenced to 20 years in prison. As the judge's voice echoed, Amy gripped Lily's hand tightly. In the courtroom gallery, Carol and Michael were also crying. Not hatred. Not sadness. The complex emotions born from 15 years of lies spread quietly. On the way home, Lily looked up at the sky. Mom, what's going to happen to us? Amy embraced her daughter. We have a new life ahead of us. A real life without lies. A faint rainbow hung in the evening sky. Like a symbol of hope after the storm, it watched over the mother and daughter's new beginning. In the prison visiting room. They say James cries every day looking at photos of both families. It's an unforgivable sin precisely because there was real love, the guard said quietly. Truth can sometimes be cruel. However, true happiness lies beyond overcoming it. Amy and Lily's new story was about to begin. In a quiet residential area surrounded by greenery in suburban Austin. Amy was preparing breakfast in the kitchen of their new home. Through the window, she could see 13-year-old Lily practicing basketball in the yard. Mom, Watch this. Lily makes a three-point shot. The once introverted girl had grown strong. While still continuing ballet, she had also become the ace of the middle school basketball team since entering junior high. 5 years had changed everything, yet changed nothing. While continuing her real estate work, Amy established New Chapter, a victim support organization. Care and support for families affected by double lives. This had become her new mission. Your experiences are not in vain, Amy speaks at support group meetings. Our pain can become someone else's hope. Every first Saturday of the month, families with similar experiences gather at the community center in downtown Austin. Carol and Michael were among them. At first, there was only hatred, Carol speaks to new participants. But hatred doesn't heal us. It doesn't give us strength to move forward. Michael was excelling as his high school's ace pitcher in the state tournament. They say his pitches contained all his complex feelings toward his father. Before being someone's son, I'm myself now, Michael told Lily after practice. Though they weren't related by blood, they had formed a sibling-like bond through their shared experience. Hey Mom, Lily asked one day. We've gotten stronger, haven't we? It wasn't a question, but a conviction. A wounded heart doesn't necessarily mean weakness. Sometimes, it becomes the source of new strength. Amy's activities gradually gained national attention. She gave lectures across the country about preventing double lives and supporting victims. Truth can be cruel sometimes, Amy spoke at the National Victim Support Association's annual conference. But turning away from that truth only creates more tragedy. The support group's activities began influencing the legal system. Precedents started emerging that treated psychological damage from double lives more seriously. Amy's experience was being cited as grounds for legal reform. And James in prison. He cries every day looking at photographs, the prison staff reported. Photos of both families. But no family members request visits. 20 years sentence. Perhaps it was an appropriate time as compensation for the lost 15 years. I'm not angry at Dad anymore, Lily said quietly one night. I'm just sad. There must have been real love, but he destroyed everything with lies. The 13-year-old girl's words resonated deeply in the adults' hearts. New photos adorned the walls of their new home. Amy and Lily. Carol and Michael. And the support group members. A new form of family, sharing the same pain even without blood ties. Though Amy was no longer as devoted a churchgoer as before, she still attended Sunday services. It was less about faith and more a time for deep reflection. A ritual to regain the power to trust people again. Your experience is helping many people, the pastor spoke kindly. Perhaps this is the new mission God has given you. A spring breeze swept through the streets of Austin. The breath of new life gradually healing old wounds. In the yard, Lily had started practicing basketball again. The sound of shots echoed rhythmically. It sounded like the strong heartbeat marking their new life. Hey Mom, Lily turned around, holding the ball. Tomorrow will be a good day too. Amy nodded with a smile. Deep wisdom dwelled in her daughter's words. Tomorrow is always full of hope. They had gained the strength to believe in that. It was the true treasure they had found at the end of lies and betrayal.